My name is Sarah, and I was born in the Edo state of Nigeria, where each region has its own spiritual traditions and deities. I was raised in a family that worshipped stones and practiced what we call high black magic, not the kind of spiritual practices you might be familiar with in Western countries. In Nigeria, this high black magic does not require offerings, alcohol, or animal sacrifices. It is far more direct and powerful. If a practitioner wants to cause a car accident or harm someone, they do not need elaborate rituals or offerings of blood. This is why we call it high black magic. It is immediate and devastating. A person does not learn it. They are born with it. It is passed down as a generational curse because these evil spirits want to continue their influence through family bloodlines. I grew up immersed in this world. My childhood was marked by spiritual oppression that began before I was even conscious of it. When I was around 4 years old, I was already drinking alcohol. My father was Muslim, and my mother came from a family of traditional spiritualists. They gave me whatever I asked for because they were unknowingly feeding the demonic entity that was controlling my life. Let me share a story that illustrates the power of this dark magic. When I was a teenager in Nigeria, I witnessed something disturbing. During the dry season, when fruit was scarce, one young boy became jealous of his friend who had found a papaya. In our country, seeing someone with a black ring on their finger was a serious warning sign. This jealous boy, whose father practiced high black magic, pierced the top of the papaya and placed a black ring inside it. When the fruit quickly turned yellow, it was only by God's mercy that one of the village elders saw what happened and prevented the other boy from eating it. When confronted, the jealous boy admitted he wanted his friend to die from eating the papaya. A simple ring, that is all it took. No elaborate ceremonies, no sacrifices. This is very different from what you might know as macumba in Brazil or other forms of spiritualism. In Nigeria, to know if someone practices witchcraft, you might see a certain symbol in their car, but they do not place offerings at doorways like they do in Brazil. In Africa, they do not need expensive rum or elaborate artifacts. They can cause harm with a simple object or even just a malicious word. Someone can go blind from a single evil word. It is incredibly powerful. I was completely dominated by these spirits. I had a specific spirit called Ear, a child spirit that controlled me. My mother eventually converted to Christianity because of this. She once took me to the hospital when I was near death at around 7 to 8 years old. Even though I was born into a family practicing high black magic, just as a fish's offspring is naturally a small fish and a snake's offspring is naturally a snake, God had a different plan for me. These familial spirits and generational curses are real. When I would ask my mother for something she would not give me, I would end up in the hospital with a fever. Though we had no small cooking pots in Nigeria, we had many herbs. I would use tins from milk cans to cook my own food. My mother was forced to give me what I wanted, because if she did not, she would have to spend money she did not have on hospital bills. Rice was a luxury for us. We only ate it once a week. When my mother would not give me rice, I would sit under a tree at a crossroads, which is a spiritually significant place dominated by demonic legions, and cook my own food in a tin can over a wood fire. I would use leaves as plates because my mother would not give me proper dishes. I would cook this food with an invisible friend, a demonic spirit that appeared to me as a playmate. When the enemy dominates your mind, you do not even know where you are. In Africa, these demonic entities are like living gods, powerful forces. But Jesus Christ of Nazareth is stronger. The demons would manipulate and control my thoughts. I remember one time at around 3 p.m., which is a time when evil spirits are especially active, I went to fetch water from the river. A woman found me in a trance-like state and had to shake me awake. She told me to hold her basin to collect water, but I just stood frozen holding it. It was as if I was paralyzed during a spiritually dangerous hour. This is why it is so important to pray at specific hours: 3 a.m., midnight, noon, 3 p.m., 6 p.m., and 9 p.m. These are spiritual battlegrounds. Spiritual warfare is real. You cannot fight what you cannot see without God's help. The devil is a spirit who does not create anything but uses what God created. That is why today, many pastors and churches do not like to take on spiritual cases, because demons exist and have power over human lives on earth. Only those who fear God and keep watch through prayer can overcome these forces. The enemy does not want marriage to succeed. He does not want children to reach adulthood. He enters to dominate human minds. From the womb, the devil fights against us because he knows he does not have the power to create humans himself. He can only enter a person if they give him place. Unfortunately, human nature tends toward evil rather than good. The enemy knows this and exploits it by planting hatred, jealousy, and resentment. Even as a Christian, these spirits continued to torment me. I came to Brazil, but the demons followed me here. Let me tell you something they made me do. They would speak in my ear and tell me to place meat on a cutting board, then put my hand under the meat so that when I cut the meat, I would cut my finger. They wanted my blood because blood contains life. One day at our church in Guaratiba, a missionary manifested a demon who screamed at me, "You wretched woman! You listened to the white man who took you from my hands. I liked it when you would drink your own blood when you put your hand under the meat and cut yourself." I eventually accepted Jesus, but the real transformation came through perseverance and dedication. I discovered that my mother had passed away in Nigeria 6 years after it happened. No one had told me because I had put Jesus second and my mother first in my priorities. She had become a pastor, and God blessed her financially. She became a cement distributor, and my parents' names are still on the front of the cement factory in our city. But wealth entered, and she stopped pursuing God to chase money. God took her at just 49 years old, full of life. When I discovered she had died, my world collapsed because she was the one who prayed for me. After developing intimacy with God, He showed me my calling. My mother died without proper medical care because in Nigeria, the government does not help. And if you do not have money, you do not get medical consultation. Many Nigerian women have never had preventive screenings or blood tests. My dream is to build a hospital on land we have already purchased to help women like my mother, so they do not die without even knowing the cause. God called me out of the mire. I was a child from the Nigerian interior who could never have imagined becoming a pastor in a foreign country. God gave me this opportunity. How many children could God raise up as apostles or bishops if they only had support? My ministry now helps about 200 children every month in Nigeria. I want to teach their parents skills like sewing so they can support themselves. I have experienced what these children are going through. My daughter was born here in Brazil and completed 3 university degrees with 100% scholarships. My grandson was born in Italy. When I compare Brazil with Africa, everything here is better by 100%. Even what you might consider a poor community in Brazil is luxurious compared to Nigeria. When I was in Nigeria, I often went hungry. I developed gastritis because of long periods with an empty stomach. People there fight over a chicken leg because of hunger. When I was a student, I did not have money to buy a new uniform when mine tore in the back. I had to wear a sweater to cover it. I did not have shoes in the heat because if I could not afford a uniform, how could I afford shoes? Today, 60 in. Brazilian currency equals about 10,000 naira, which can feed a family with basic necessities for a week in Nigeria. This is why I cry so much. God took me out of there, and I want to help my people. I struggle and weep because God rescued me, and I want to do something for those still suffering. My calling today is here in Brazil, where I lead several churches, but my desire is to help people in Nigeria. I do not charge for preaching, I believe in serving God freely. Our main church is in Guaratiba, Rio de Janeiro, and we have several branches in nearby communities. We help unemployed people and families in need right here in Brazil too, not just in Africa. I want to leave you with this message. I thank my God, all glory and honor belong to Him. Until I pass my generation to my only daughter and grandson, until the Lord's return, I pray that my family will serve Him, because I am a miracle in God's hands. I glorify the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth and want to continue in obedience, because I do not want to gain the world and lose my salvation. I want to enter those streets of gold and serve Him forever. Prayer is powerful. It breaks chains. Even witchcraft done 7 years ago can be broken by strong prayer. So let us pray without ceasing, for we battle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers of darkness. And remember, our God, who led the people of Israel out of Egypt, who parted the Red Sea, is still working miracles today. If this testimony shows you anything, it's that faith gets tested in the fire. But that's exactly where it becomes unbreakable. You're facing your own battles right now, aren't you? Every person who shared their story on this channel went through seasons of doubt, persecution, and spiritual warfare. They didn't just survive, they came out stronger. And the same biblical principles that carried them through their darkest moments can carry you through yours. That's why I've created Faith Under Fire, Biblical Solutions for Today's Christian Challenges, a completely free ebook that gives you the exact biblical strategies these testimony warriors used to overcome doubt, fear, persecution, and spiritual attacks. It's not theory. It's battle-tested truth from believers who've walked through the fire and emerged victorious. This channel has helped thousands of believers strengthen their faith through real testimonies. And here's something beautiful. 70% of every donation through Buy Me a Coffee goes directly to supporting missionaries facing their own fires on the front lines. When you support this channel, you're not just getting encouraged, you're encouraging believers in the hardest places on earth. Don't wait until the next storm hits. Prepare your faith now with these biblical solutions. Download Faith Under Fire, free in the description. Subscribe for daily testimonies, and if God moves your heart, buy me a coffee to keep these life-changing stories coming.